Do you remember the first horror game you ever played? That moment when the music stopped and the silence crept in, and suddenly you felt alone, not in the game, but in that room you were playing in when you were a child. Welcome to the Red Save Point. Today, we're stepping back to the golden age of survival horror, exploring the games that didn't just scare us, they changed us. The games that made us question what lurked beyond the fog and still haunt us today. This is a deep dive into the different types of fear that horror games give us, starting with the game that redefined psychological terror.
Play Silent Hill. You may never leave your room again for PlayStation from Konami.
There's something dreamlike about Silent Hill, or something nightmarish. The original 1999 classic isn't just a horror game. It's a journey through a town that almost feels alive. As if the fog itself can breathe, whispering secrets you weren't meant to hear in the fog. I remember when I originally played Silent Hill 1 when I was younger, and the thing that terrified me the most about Silent Hill 1 was the idea of me being stalked through these alleyways by creatures I could not see through that fog, and that moment that I could maybe just break my PlayStation 1 controller while playing this gorgeous game. The story follows Harry Mason, an ordinary man thrown into the most unordinary of nightmares. His daughter, Cheryl, disappears in this eerie, snow-covered town of Silent Hill, where reality bends and something or someone lurks behind every alleyway as you look for her. The brilliance of Silent Hill 1 isn't just in the monsters, or the haunting soundtrack or imagery, but the way it weaponizes the unknown. The fog wasn't just a technical limitation. It was a tool to smother the player in a dreadful feeling. One of my biggest fears when I was a child was the idea that even when I was alone, I was never alone. Being stalked in this fog creates an atmosphere, something out of the imaginary. The best thing that Silent Hill can ever do when you play it is keep you guessing. What was up ahead? Or where you were? I had those questions all the time when I played Silent Hill. And trust me, I still have those questions today when I play it. If you want my opinion, the best parts of the game are when the world shifts and the sirens wail and the streets start to rust away into blood and rusted metal. When the world begins to transform into this nightmarish version of itself that tries to mimic what the real world is. And you get that feeling that you're not in control, that the town is. Silent Hill isn't just a game. It's an experience. One that lingers like a forgotten dream. There are moments that stay with you. Many players have them when they first experience this game. From maybe fighting a few enemies, having a few close encounters, or memorable moments in the story. But mine was always different, and it is one of the many inspirations of making this video. The moment that stayed with me the most was the death of Lisa. After discovering her origin, she begins to decay right in front of you and twitch unnaturally. In this dim light room in the hospital level, the player, knowing they can't save her, stands there as she begins to die uncontrollably. And it's really a frightening sight if you haven't played it. Before we get into the next game that we're going to talk about on this list, I want to say one more thing about Silent Hill. Silent Hill has always been one of my most favorite survival horror games ever made, and in my opinion, has been the most impactful game on this list. And if you have not tried Silent Hill or any of the sequels, I definitely say give them a try. It's just one of the best experiences that you can ever get in the survival horror game. But the next game that we're going to talk about is something that changed the video game industry forever, especially the sequels.
Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Albert Wesker, Resident Evil.
If Silent Hill is psychological horror at its finest, Resident Evil is raw fear of survival. The original Resident Evil 1 released in 1996, and it defied the survival genre, setting the blueprint for decades to come. It threw players into the Spencer Mansion, a labyrinth of locked doors, puzzles, and horrors beyond the next turn. From the moment you first step inside, you're greeted by an eerie silence and dread. And as you explore for a little bit, this is the first thing you see. This scene was etched into gaming's history. That slow way it acknowledges your presence, blood dripping from its mouth as it stands unrelenting. That moment, more than anything, defined what Resident Evil was all about. Dread, helplessness, and the constant question, do I run or do I fight back? In my opinion, the best thing that Resident Evil does is characterize its environment. Once as you continue to play, you begin to familiarize yourself with the mansion and think that you know everything about it. But the mansion itself is a character. It breathes, it shifts, and it tricks you. One moment, it's quiet, and then the next. A Cerberus bursts through a window, sending your heart racing, using that human programming of survival against you. Resident Evil didn't just give us a game about killing zombies. It gave us a world where the player is not welcome. where we have to fight in order to survive. And that's why it remains one of the most terrifying and beloved horror series of all time. You may have noticed that with this segment of Resident Evil, I do not have a lot of words talking about it. But one day I do plan on doing a series retrospective on different game series that I enjoy, Resident Evil being one of them. And I don't want to use too much of my words for my upcoming retrospectives. But for now, let's focus on something a little bit more in your face.
世界中に認められた恐怖。待望のベスト版ゼロ発売中。
Some games made you run, but in Fatal Frame, it makes you face it. Released in 2001, Fatal Frame / Project Zero dared to take horror in a different direction. Where others armed you with guns, knives, or even explosives, this game gives you one option: a camera. And you're forced to look directly at things that terrify you the most. The story follows Miku, a young girl searching for her brother in the real-life location of Himuro Mansion. But this is not an ordinary haunted house. It's a place steeped in sorrow and suffering, filled with spirits that do not rest. The game's genius lies in its combat. Instead of running, you must photograph the spirits to exorcise them. But to do the most damage, you must wait till they're inches away from your face. Their dead eyes just looking into yours. The sound design alone is enough to keep you on the edge. Whispers in the dark, faint sobbing, the echoes of footsteps that aren't yours. The spirits are tragic and unsettling, each one of them having their own stories and own tragedies. And that's what I think is so unique with Fatal Frame. Unlike other horror games, Fatal Frame does something different with its story and makes it surprisingly tragic. And believe me, you will shed a tear or two while playing it. Everybody has a backstory, and it's beautiful. I'm not going to talk about it way too much because I want you guys to experience it, because to be honest, it is a very underrated gem. But I will fill in the rest of the details of what I like about it. Fatal Frame makes you feel trapped, as if the act of playing it is part of the nightmare. And to be honest, that's what I really like about it. It makes me feel like if I continue playing, I might see something that I'm not supposed to. And it gives you this uncomfortable feeling of being watched, just like Silent Hill. But it does it a lot better, in my opinion. For real, I really mean it when I say this, but you should definitely go check this out. If you like Silent Hill and other games that have kind of that same aesthetic, it's one of the best, in my opinion. As you can see, Fatal Frame is horror distilled to the purest form. It's a game that doesn't treat it like a game. It treats it like a true story. Even in the beginning of the game, when you see the title card, it tells you that it's based off of a true story when, I'll go ahead and spoil it for you, it's not. But it's the idea that it could be real, and that's what's scary about it. The game doesn't want to scare you in the consensual level. It wants you to make you feel like you're being stalked in real life. And in my opinion, it's truly terrifying. Now, I know some of you are going to be asking, save point, why are you talking about these games that are obviously older than you? They're not that important nowadays, right? Well, with me, I would have to say the opposite. See, without these games, we wouldn't have a lot of things in modern horror. And to be honest, it's really important nowadays. See, these games are more than pixels or lines of code. Their memories, their nightmares, their nostalgia for a lot of people that shaped the horror genre as what we see it today. Like, for instance, with Fatal Frame, we wouldn't have games like Outlast or Visage. And most importantly, we wouldn't have things like Dead Space or The Evil Within without Resident Evil. But this is why I am making Red Save Point. This channel is dedicated to talking about different topics, from horror games and how they changed, or the horror genre in general, and how it's changed through modern lenses, and question those types of questions on if horror even is good anymore, and what we could talk about, just different horror discussions. And I can't wait to talk about more stuff with you guys. I plan on making more retrospectives and more discussion videos on smaller topics, of course. Something that isn't as long as this, but maybe longer. And I would love to see you guys there, if you can. But as we continue to explore the shadow of horror games, or horror in general, maybe we can even uncover even more. One save point at a time. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Please, if you haven't, follow, subscribe, even hit that bell button. You guys will be great to keep around, and I would love to keep making more content for you guys. But as always, I will see you later, and goodbye.